their population is two to three males to every one female, because they're encouraging infanticide there mainly on the female, and therefore they themselves will start to decline. And because once they're on the westernized food and the inoculations, they will also start to become sterile. So within another, say, 2030 to 2050, 2060, the population of China will be drastically reduced as well. So this is how they see the whole plan working out. And then they tie in the transhumanism agenda, where they'll bring out a new type to serve them, no doubt grow their own food for those who are left, for the elites themselves, natural food, of course, but a new type of human who will give them no problems whatsoever. They'll be manufactured humans with no ability to think as a separate individual. They'll be a type of herd animal or hive animal, as they call it in their own words, and they'll be very, very efficient. And they can also be programmed to do different jobs, because they'll also be part cyborg. That's really what they believe at the top. And this is through all the records of academia to do with transhumanism.
That's what I wanted to add. That's what I wanted to add. They are, and we'll continue, they're sucking the youth in. And the Army said this, as you know, decades ago, declassified in 2000 in February. They said, we're going to use hype, video games, culture to literally get the young people to want to be wireheads, and then they'll rebel against mom and dad and say, hey, there's a law, I'm allowed to be augmented. And then the Washington Post admits that the corporations are getting the children ready to rebel, the teenagers, to take the augmentation. And then now one of the most famous video game company owners and inventors came out and said, yeah, soon you'll need to be augmented with chips in your body to even play our game. And the young people are already in their Sims reality. They're, 20 million people in World of Warcraft. This is their reality. And so they're already being inserted into it. And the Army said, we're going to use Xboxes now, the very platform, to have the teenagers fly our Predator drones. And so they'll just sit there having fun, dehumanizing, killing people, playing real games on an Xbox platform, hooked into the Predator drones. And then now they're at the malls with these huge video game displays, the Army, that's in the news today, all over the country, showing them simulated battle attacks or recordings of it, of real attacks, to teach them how much fun it is to be involved. They're piloting the robotic craft, and the entire military, by 2012 with the aircraft, the attack craft is converting into drones. And then, of course, the humans are phased out, because a tiny elite can then program the entire military apparatus that is serviced in these giant aircraft carrier-sized, land-based, ground-based, air-based repair centers that are robotic, with basic human technicians that upkeep it, to where the elite can just punch a button and launch giant attacks against countries, and it won't matter if the troops even said no. So literal godlike powers now being seeded into the hands of the elite. Alan Watts, stay there. We're going to come back and get into the carbon footprint, the social youth brigades that are going to be in all your homes, just the absolute enslavement. We need to try to avert this. We need to try to reverse this. We have a limited window in time, in my opinion, to reverse what's happening. Alan, digressing for a moment, do you think we are in that limited window? I mean, and I want to get into solutions later, and then B, continuing with the phasing out of humanity.
I think we're well underway. We didn't know that we were being sterilized until the reports came out the reports they've had for 50 years started to leak out. So we get the news 50 years later. This is how things are done. We're the last to be told any truth, or at least even the effects of the truth. And they're well on their way to their objective. We're watching them go through this financial nonsense. This is the power of the purse, the last thing to be used to unite the whole planet. And because we're all on the one economic system, we know no other way. This is all we've been given. This is all we can remember for a couple of thousand years. Then there seems to be no way out of it. So the power of the purse is going to force everyone along into the next phase of control. Money is used, remember, mainly as a tool by the elites. They don't need money. They already own everything, technically. They don't have to carry cash with them or even credit cards. Doors open wherever they go. But money is the trick to control the people and to get us to work along with their system, for their system. Eventually, they won't even need that. But part of the phase on the way to the elimination of money for their brave new worlds will be a credit system that will come in for every citizen. And Bertrand Russell talked about this back in the 1950s, where the government, in collusion with the banks, will directly give you into your account every week a deposit which you cannot save up. So it starts at the same figure every Monday. And if you go against the system, you don't behave in a certain way, whatever, they will hold back their credits, you can't pay your rents and so on. And this is going to be used as a form of social control. So we see with this present government bank merger system that's coming in, that's right on with the agenda, and the government will eventually be right into your account, and they will use it as a tool to control you. If you've been a bad boy, no more money for a few weeks until you bend the knee. And this is coming in, and I'm certain this is what's going to come out of this whole globalized monetary system they're bringing in right now.
And again, they create all the crises. They release the biological agents, then they offer the solution. They engineer the economic crisis, they offer the solution. They slip in the Chinese slave goods out of China, and then they say, okay, we passed a law that nobody in America can weave clothes for their children, and we're banning any production in textiles in the U.S. or anywhere else unless it's certified by the government, which then knocks out all the good clothes made properly to where we can only have the GMO cotton and the bad stuff from India and China. I mean, it's all happening. We see them raiding watermelon farms that are selling watermelons, or raiding people selling milk, or raiding people selling eggs. They're obsessed with shutting down any grassroots agrarian self-sufficient societies, which shows that's one of their weak points, isn't it?
It is one of the weak points, indeed, yes.
Back in 70 seconds, Alan, let's talk about that and talk about solutions and things we can do to fight this. And I want to get into chemtrails with you and our carbon footprint, how that's going to be controlled. And then we'll go to your phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. Final hour, straight ahead.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
All right, final hour on this final broadcast of this week, first week of the new year. We're back live this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. And, of course, next week for a few of the days, Jason Bermas is here in town. He'll be sitting in with a lot of important and informative guests coming up. Now, I want to go back to Alan Watt. Alan, we've been having riveting, informative discussion here. People that say we're being negative, we're not. It's like looking out your window and seeing a storm coming in. Somebody says, what's the weather? Oh, a storm's coming in. Oh, don't be negative. All we're doing is covering the facts here, the reality. You alluded about 15 minutes ago to the carbon footprint, the allotted amount of creds you'll have on your card. All of this is admitted. You know, even if you, quote, have wealth, you won't be able to spend it because it'll be past your carbon footprint. And then, of course, that will all be selectively enforced. I mean, this is the total controlled society with the technology to try to carry it out. So can you speak more about life under the carbon footprint, which they're now bringing in? Obama says you'll have weekly, monthly visits to your farm, your home. You'll get special permits to do any changes to your house. The cows, $170 tax, soda, but then all foods, satellite boxes in all your cars, taxing you as you drive. They're now saying it all. Everything we warned people about that was in the planning documents we saw decades ago We're now here in this continuum from the early elites forming and the scientific dictatorship several thousand years ago to now. How far along on that continuum towards what they believe is their end game are we? Are we 80% there, 90% there?
I think we're probably 90% there. That's why it is in the open now, and they're not really concerned. They have all of the classes they need. As I say, it's mainly academia on their side. They fund so many of the big corporations. Even with the bailouts, the corporations must do as they're told as well, and go along with this. Everyone is being paid off, bought off, or simply blackmailed to go along with this whole agenda, and it's the academia does it willingly. So they're not bothered about the general public whatsoever. In fact, the general public are still watching all the trivia that's doled out to them, as they said they'd do, to keep them happy and entertained. But you're quite right with this whole carbon thing. See, man is the problem according to them. There's too